Alright, today we are doing the Leviathan post quest. One thing to note about this is the Webweaver bow is very important for skipping the enrage phase, which is by hands down the hardest part of the fight. So if you're gonna be grinding this boss, I'd recommend selling whatever to get a Webweaver, and then you can even use a strong crossbow or something. As long as you have the Webweaver, it will be a lot easier to secure kills. But you do need a shadow spell to stun him the way that I'm doing this to slow down his attacks. So I bring the Ancient Scepter just to auto cast it so I don't have to try to click the spell and him. I can just swap between weapons and auto cast in case I mess up the cast somehow. Use your best ranged gear. Crystal with a Bofa is, I think, best in slot more than the T-bow. I sold the T-bow to get gear for the rest of these bosses, so Bofa's been working out great. But yeah, again, you can use a blowpipe or a strong crossbow. One thing to note too, the enrage phase, the little golden thing that you need to walk behind, always starts in this northwest corner. So I'll talk to it again when I get closer to the enrage phase, but you're going to want to end up there. So I always start in the southwest corner so that if you start spewing debris, I don't have a bunch of rocks where the golden orb of power or whatever ends up in the enrage phase. So, all right, so let's start the fight here. We're going to get our rigor and a protect spell up. I play with sound on so that you can hear the different noises as he casts the different types of attacks here. The first phase, he's going to only do range and mage, and it's very slow. He does rocks, just step out of the way. Every time he does those rocks, he's going to start casting faster and faster and faster. And eventually he'll throw in the melee attack, which is the orange orb, and that's when you want to start thinking about shadow. Lagged right there, but that's when you're going to want to start thinking about using shadow barrage. So there's a melee one, so I'm just going to shadow barrage him here, and when he does that, when you actually stun him, it says it in the chat in green if the little video thing goes away. But anyways, you need to run to the opposite side of him, and you kind of need to hustle. You can go too slowly, and if you don't get there in time to hit his weak spot, then his attacks don't slow down when he starts hitting you again. So it's important to hustle out of there, hit him in his weak spot. And then he says down in the chat, charges up a lightning attack. So if you see lightning attack, start running around him so you can get a head start. That way you can sneak in a few attacks while he's doing the lightning phase, and you just run around the circle as close to him as you can. This kind of goes on for a while, and you can sneak in quite a few attacks, especially if you're better at the game than I am. And then once he's done, you want to end up just anywhere other than the northwest corner again, just in case he starts spewing rocks there once you start to shadow barrage him again. So, all right, so he's going to start with a slightly faster than the starting phase of attacks. It'll only be one kind of rock stomp or whatever he does there before he's going to start casting the melee one again. So because I am bad at the game, I immediately start thinking about shadow barraging again. I'm going to stun him with shadow barrage with my ancient scepter, run to the other side. So these kills are taking a little bit longer just because I get so scared of the prayer swaps. I don't really want to try that hard when I'm doing any of these bosses. So in the chat, you can see he says the Leviathan begins to spit out debris. Try to walk while he's spitting them out by clicking just one tile away, and make sure you end up behind one of the boulders when he finishes his 9, I think it is, boulders that he spews out. And then once again, you want to end up anywhere other than the northwest corner. Watch his health though, because I think it's 180 health is when he is going to go into the enrage phase. So he starts really going fast there. I'm surprised that I lasted as long as I did there before freezing him. But I froze him and run to the weak spot. He's going to start doing, you can see in the chat, he's charging up his lightning attack. And I should be able to get him down to just about the enrage phase during the lightning attack because of how many attacks you can get in while he's doing this. If you get a head start on running around him, it's really quite helpful for getting damage down, especially if you're stunning him with Shadow Barrage as frequently as I do in an attempt to make the fight a little bit less sweaty. So we've got him at 191 health, so I'm going to finally go over to the northwest corner and just attack him until he enrages, trying to no longer use any more shadow barrages to stun him. And there's the golden orb thing. So it's actually, you want to be a little bit ahead of it. And one thing to note here, I'm going to pause it just for a second, is eat up to full health, get your prayer up, take just a second before you spec him with the Webweaver bow, because sometimes he just doesn't take damage if you attack him too quickly. So make sure that your character is glowing gold as well. It's hard to see here, but I just kind of knew my character was because I was ahead of the orb for a couple seconds. And the Webweaver spec just shreds him. You hardly even need to think about prayers because two specs will almost always kill him, and he'll just be done right there. So you can see 3 minutes. That's a pretty long kill. Sometimes it goes faster depending on how daring you get with how long you wait between your shadow barrages. But if you can get him to enrage with the Webweaver, you'll have this guy on farm no problem, and you'll be able to kill him every single time without worrying about dying. So all right, that concludes all my Desert Treasure 2 post quest boss guides. So we'll see what happens next, and we'll see you there. Thank you.